Very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. Bouncing off what I hope was a wonderful weekend. And you're all set and ready to take on the world on this Monday, start of a brand new week here in Grenada. Folks, thank you to those of you who are joining us on Facebook and the other platforms. Nice to see you this morning. It's going to be a good program. Good program. We don't have anybody live in here this morning, but we do have a number of pre-recorded segments, and I hope that you'll find them not just informative, but stimulating, give you reason to think. Hey, as we continue here on Gudday Grenada to pursue the good governance agenda. My name is George Grant, by the way. Let's take a look at what's going to take place this morning. The first question we're going to ask is government obligated to disclose details of the much touted oil and gas agreement? Yeah, we're going to try this morning and see if we can come up with some answers to that question. Fortunately, we do have the national report for you this morning, and then we're going to play a segment which we showed you yesterday for the first time. Pure what? It's about our blatant disregard for the environment. Again, that falls under the umbrella of the good governance agenda. Got to keep this nation clean. Got to keep this nation clean, especially when you're out there shouting, pure Grenada, pure Grenada, pure Grenada. Huh? So the question that was, or is being asked in that little piece that you're going to see this morning is pure what? Huh? So, stick around for that. Ooh, here they come, here they come, here they come. Ashton is saying good morning. Hi there, Ashton. Hope things are going well with you. And Peter's in Long this morning. Not Long Island, he's in Long. Could have been worse. Could have been short. Hi, Mags. Good to see you, girl. And Peter has just come back here and said Island. He's in Long Island. Nice to see you folks. So, let's get down to brass tacks. It's, by the way, 3.5 minutes after the hour. On March 21st, in Parliament, in responding to some questions from Senator Ron Redhead on the current arrangement between the government of Grenada and GPG, that's the Global Petroleum Group, Senator Simon Steele, who's the leader of government business in the Senate, told the nation that the deal with GPG was a sensitive commercial contract and therefore confidential, and was not subject to public perusal at this time. A similar sentiment was subsequently expressed by Energy Minister Gregory Bowen. Now, needless to say, these statements ruffled a few feathers. And on yesterday's edition of Sundays with George Grant, attorney at law Patrick Antoine disagreed that such information should be off limits. He did not agree that that stuff should be kept tight-lipped. And he pledged to assist in making sure that such information does become available to the public. First, I want to show you that segment from the Senate sitting where the question was asked of the leader of government business for some information about the details of the agreement between the government of Grenada and the Global Petroleum Group.
Based on what the response we got, so there was a previous contract with GPG. I would just like to know if it's the same contract or if it's a different contract. And Mr. President, in Part B, part B of question 2.
Well, let's just take Part A first and give the Leader of Government Business an opportunity to respond.
All I'm in a position to comment on, Mr. President, is the terms of the current agreement. And again, this agreement is a confidential commercial agreement, so it's not an agreement that at this time is in the public domain, and it is not unusual that this is the case. These are commercial negotiations. Grenada is competing with other countries. Guyana have their oil and gas activities ongoing. The issue of from both exploration, production and development is based on commercial sensitivities that either attract investment or do not. So the precise terms of these agreements, as said, at this time where it's still very early in the exploration, production, the development phase, is not subject to public perusal at this time.
Okay, so there you have it. That's what took place in Parliament. And as I mentioned subsequently, and I verified this with another journalist last night, that a report, a statement along those lines was also made by the Energy Minister, Gregory Bowen, and hence the reason. In this piece that I'm now going to play you, you will hear Dr. Patrick Antoine yesterday making mention to Mr. Bowen. So it wasn't Bowen who originally said this. It was Simon Steele. Here goes.
George, let me be very frank. I did not hear Minister Bowen, but you know, I have tremendous regard for the way in which you very carefully interpret statements from public officials. Let me be absolutely blunt about this. There is absolutely no way on God's green earth that a government can say that an agreement signed on behalf of the government and people of Grenada, yes, is off limits for examination. George, if this were to leave this discussion today and go internationally, it would make us look worse than a banana republic. We live in an era where people are talking about voice. People in Venezuela, people in Cuba, people in China, people in all kinds of countries are demanding what we call voice. They're demanding to have a say. They want to know. The treaties in CARICOM that we have speak about consultations. Our constitution, if you start dissecting it, really does act on the basis that we are going to have information to make decisions. Yes? I cannot accept that is what Minister Bowen intended to say. Let me be very clear. I cannot accept that is what Minister Bowen intended to say. So if he intended to say something else, George, I think he ought to clarify that. But you cannot tell people today, anywhere in the third world, forget the developed countries, that you would have signed an agreement and you are unprepared to subject that even to scholarly or academic examination. That can't fly. So the question, George, I think is really aimed at trying to bring out the fact that in the way that we do our public policy, we perhaps need to have public officials remind themselves that there are these responsibilities. The agreement that we're talking about is already held by a number of people who have had access to it. There are countries that have access to the agreement between Grenada and GPG. I have had in the past sight of that agreement. If we made an error, which is why I said it's an issue for people, if we made errors in that agreement, errors of judgment, errors of fact, we acted on bad information. If there were errors made, whatever errors were made, whatever the motivations were, those are things that in a developmental context we need to understand, George, so we don't commit them again. That is what I'm saying. Whether they were acts of omission or acts of commission, we need to just open those things up so as a people we understand where we've come from. Trinidad and Tobago didn't always sign the best agreements, but they started in 1910 when the United States did its survey of all of these islands and recognized that there was a oil and gas potential, something we haven't spoken about on this program, which is why I say this started before 1996. When the Russians did a survey of these regions and realized what was there, yes, all of these things, to my mind, suffered from a number of issues regarding public disclosure, and in the case of the agreement, the information that the Russians would have gotten when they did their surveys, right? I'm told by Grenadians who were involved, who are no longer living in Grenada, that it also suffered from a communication problem. We didn't see it fit to invest in communications to translate surveys that were done in Russian into English. I'm saying these are things we need to learn from. And while we're having this discussion, if you look at the state of our Ministry of Energy, with 2 or 3 or 4, let us say we had 20 experts. 20 experts having regard to what we face now and what we're going to be dealing with going forward in the context of the framework agreement, in the context of the delimitation treaty, in the context of private party arrangements that we have now and that perhaps we will have going forward. A ministry has to be staffed with experts and to have relationships that can advise us well. These are the discussions I want to have. I don't just want to have a discussion that is based on the fact that we have had a bad agreement, yes, and at the end of this call, at the end of this discussion today, we would not be any wiser on what we do about. And then my colleague spoke earlier about the environment. I have a real concern that we have 3 things that we need to put together. And I'm saying this goes beyond the political parties. I know Claudette must be concerned about this. I'm concerned about it. And other Grenadians must be concerned about it. We're talking about the blue economy. And the blue economy and the exploration of resources, yes, presupposes a certain kind of ecosystem. I heard the colleague earlier when he spoke and I smiled. It's interesting that he began the discussion there. Then we're talking about the green economy. It's very different to the blue economy. It's not the same thing. Many Grenadians don't understand the distinctions between the two. It's not just based on oceans and based on exploitation on land. And then we have the potential development of a hydrocarbon industry in the context of small spaces where all of these things essentially must coexist. And we have to have a discussion that brings all of these things together. So I'm saying that this is a big development issue that we have to face, and we have to face it in a way that answers the questions going forward. So, George, the public officials have a responsibility to disclose, whether it is based on good information that we would have entered into where we made errors, or whether it's on the basis of bad information that we entered into. That's my answer to that question.
And Patrick, are you willing to spearhead the initiative to get that information, sir?
George, men like me often lose their head, and I have said to you, I'm prepared to spearhead many things. One of the things we said we would spearhead is the CCG and public consultations. So if you're asking me, George, and I'm answering the question this way, it may not always be linear the way people want, but I think in a particular manner. That's how I'm trained. If you're asking me the question, if there is a basis for the development or establishment or bringing together of a public consultative framework which comes out of the citizenry, follow me, which comes out of the citizenry, that is not put together essentially just based on institutions that exist. Institutions, many of which we know, have their own agendas. And I'm not saying whose agenda it is, that's just a fact. I am prepared to be part of any organization of citizens that essentially says, look, let us look at this thing objectively. The answer to that is yes. But we can't have one for oil, one for the CCG, one for children's rights, one for education, one for justice, law and order. I think we need to start talking about how we deal with a groundswell of public concern over issues that are developmental, that transcend political parties. That is what I'm interested in.
So, there you have it. I just want to remind you, for those of you who may not have been with us yesterday, that's an excerpt from yesterday's edition of SWGG. At the bottom of your picture there was Dr. Patrick Antoine, and you also saw a gentleman with very long hair in there. That gentleman, by the way, is an environmentalist. His name is Sean Patton. He's with a group of international lawyers and consultants who are fighting various parts of the world to curb oil exploration because of the potential environmental damage. And they have been successful in certain places. By the way, Sean was speaking to us from the Azores, as you saw him on there. The other picture you saw Claudette Joseph and me, and also present with us yesterday was Citizen John Rollo. So it was quite the team. And just in case you happen to missed it, despite all the snafus we had, it's up on Facebook, it's up on YouTube. You can go check it out. All right. Now, let me take a look at Facebook here, and I see that the first comment came from Margaret, and she was referring to the first piece we played when Minister Steele indicated that this is not the appropriate time to reveal the details of that agreement between government and GPG. And Margaret says, well, then the follow-up question should be, when will be the appropriate time? Mags, yeah, very, very true. You're absolutely correct. But Mags, the way things go here, do you think that would have made any difference? Nah. Kipling Francis says, what I cannot and will not ever understand is if the ministers are representing the people, why should they be doing business for the people without the consent of the people? And then he says, whoa, confidential, my... You know what? We have also been joined this morning by Arlene Rodriguez, Martin Carmichael Simon, Benedict Cador, Bernard Gilbert, Veronica Sandy. Whole mob's there this morning. Alrighty, folks, coming up next, lick your lips. We're going to get to the GIS and their national report.
Are you equipped to take a closer look behind the numbers? The Caribbean Institute of Forensic Accounting can help you build your professional skills to audit and investigate fraud, waste, and abuse. Through the Forensic Certified Public Accountants FCPA program, you gain qualification to conduct forensic audits and investigations globally. Earn international recognition and designation as a Forensic Certified Public Accountant from the Forensic CPA Society of the USA. Certificate courses run May to November 2019 in Grenada at the Grenada National Stadium. To register, contact us at info@cfa-edu.com or 868-224-3478.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
My name is Jennifer James, and I've been making confectionaries for the past 7 years. Growing up as a little girl, I always wanted to make these little things. Forge, sugar cake, tamarind ball, these little things. I read something actually, and it said that tamarind itself is very good because it eliminates fat from the liver. You get the mature tamarind and you crack it, you shell it out, I would add a little baking soda, some spices. I would leave it to rest probably for about 2 hours and then add my sugar and just start kneading. I usually knead it hard enough so that I can roll it. When I finish roll it, I will paste it with the actual white or brown sugar. And you have a nice tamarind ball. I have been providing food fair with tamarind ball about 6 years now. I started producing tamarind ball to sell for the school children. I thought I could advance some more. So I went to food fair and I asked one of the sales persons there if they would be interested in selling my tamarind ball. And she told me yes. She told me to bring 20 packets to start with. It was really a joy for me because I wanted to extend on my little business. My name is Jennifer James and I work with the food fair to provide you with tamarind balls.
I see that we've also been joined again this morning by SD No Tap. Thank you very much for joining us, Sean. Good to see you. I also see a number of people out there incognito on Facebook this morning. Georgie McLeish is out there. Vincent Ignatius Roberts. Hey, Vincent, back in town, eh? Good to see you, fella. Patricia Tellisford is also with us. Hey, guess who? Mr. Junior George. Hello there, Junior. Keeping on trucking, aren't you? Go for it, fella. Raphael Paul is also with us, and Anthony DeRiggs is on there as well. But these guys are very quiet. Now, let's see. Martin Carmichael Simons there. Let's get right now to Friday's edition of the National Report.
Grenada and other world leaders attending Second Belt and Road Forum in Beijing. Details of this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Friday, April 26th, I am Sherry Ann Noel. Leaders from Grenada and all over the world are currently in Beijing, China, for the Second Belt and Road Forum on International Cooperation. Grenada is being represented at the meeting by Honorable Gregory Boeing, Minister for Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Energy, Transport and Implementation, and Honorable Peter David, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Labour. Grenada's ambassador to China, Dr. Abby S. David, says the summit is an opportunity to promote interconnectivity so that tangible benefits can be derived from the Belt and Road Initiative.
From dialogue, we hope to have tangible results where, we can actually have projects come into play. And we believe that this forum will be the place for this dialogue, and it will help others understand what Grenada is, where Grenada is, what we are about, and what is important to us.
126 countries and 29 international organizations have signed cooperation agreements with China to jointly build the Belt and Road. Grenada signed MOU with China last September. The total trade volume between China and participating countries has surpassed $6 trillion and investment has exceeded $80 billion.
Grenada did sign the MOU at the end of last year. However, we do not have any projects under the Belt and Road Initiative as yet. So we hope to use this forum to initiate dialogue and initiate that exchange so that we could have, as I said, tangible benefits. But of course, we want to have a mutually beneficial relationship so that Grenada benefits and also China benefits from this partnership. So that is what we plan to have and plan to do, is to ensure that the relationship and partnerships are mutually beneficial.
Legal Affairs Minister Honorable Kindra Matrin Stewart remains optimistic that amendment to Conveyancing and Law of Property Act will address the shortfalls in the Deeds and Lands Registry. The amendment, which was passed and gazetted in September 2018, will take effect from May 1, 2019. Minister Matrin Stewart says it will address the many shortfalls that have been of concern to members of the Bar Association and the public. She highlighted the concerns of dilapidated index and incomplete records. According to the minister, the amendment will reduce the search time for the title to property from 60 to 30 years.
This amendment, we believe, will greatly enhance that situation at the registry. It would improve, of course, the overall efficiency at the registry, and of course, it will also maintain the integrity of the entire system.
Commencing in May, the Ministry of Legal Affairs will unfold the Deeds and Lands Project, which will examine the existing registry, its processes, and formulate new ideas to make the registry more efficient.
Staff will be trained. That staff at the Deeds and Land Registry will be trained in best practicing in, of course, processing and recording of deeds, and a procedural manual will be developed to guide staff in their execution and roles and functions as it relates to the processing of deeds.
In the past 5 years, 3,623 workers from 6 OECS member states have participated in the Canada Seasonal Agriculture Workers Program. This statistics points to the significant contribution made by the program to the alleviation of unemployment in the OECS, and was highlighted at the recent accreditation of the Canada's High Commissioner, Her Excellency Marie Legault, to the OECS. OECS Director General Dr. Didicus Jules cordially accepted High Commissioner Legault's formal letter of accreditation in affirming the closeness and growing relationship between Canada and the region. Dr. Jules says they intend to regularize and expand the Eastern Caribbean Liaison Service, which is our mechanism for the coordination of the seasonal program, which provides a valuable livelihood for OECS nationals on a rotational basis. He pointed out that to date 37% of workers have come from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 33% from St. Lucia, 17% from Dominica, 10% from Grenada, 3% from St. Kitts and Nevis, and less than 1% from Montserrat. The OECS Director General adds that they will be convening a meeting of OECS Labour Ministers to now seek to expand employment opportunities for more workers across more member states and across a wider range of skills in demand, so that they can share in the benefits derived from the program. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The eyes of the world are on us more than ever. So let's take it to them. Saturday, May 4th, the Spice Mass Corporation launches Spice Mass 2019. The Caribbean's biggest summer festival. This year's launch starts with a roadshow from Ariza Car Park to the National Stadium from 3 p.m. Bring out your last year's costume and join the parade. It's one big experience with a display of fancy man, traditional man, Moko Jumbi, and the most envied Jab Jab. The official opening is at the National Stadium, featuring your favorite soca artists and DJs, Calypso Monarch, Steel Pan Champions, and presentations of the 2019 Carnival Queen contestants, plus displays of 2019 costumes, SMC show tickets, and other attractions to be won. Saturday, May 4th, the National Stadium, the launch of Spice Mass 2019. Bring out the entire family. Log on to spicemassgrenada.com for more.
Welcome back. The sister Isle of Carriacou is bursting with excitement as the annual Maroon and String Band Music Festival gets underway until Sunday. The annual celebrations of the African origin features drumming, singing, smoked food, and other rituals practiced in unique Carriacou style. This year, the festival is being held under the theme, Deeply Rooted in Our Traditions, Remaining True to Our Culture. Chairperson of the festival committee, Tira Lendo, said it will be an unforgettable experience for locals and visitors alike.
At 7 p.m., we will start the evening with a flambeau march from the entrance of the park right onto the stage side, where the official ceremony will begin. There will be remarks from government officials, festival board members, sponsors, and committee members, and others. There will be performances by local individuals and groups, including the Big Drum. This year, we are having for the first time Heritage Theatre from Grenada. They will be performing on the Friday night. On Saturday, the 27th, the day starts at 10:30 a.m. We'll be welcoming a session at the Tyrrell Bay Port. There, visitors will get a taste of our culture, followed by the real experience later on in Hillsborough and Strings in the city.
This year's Maroon Village will feature bands from Union Island, Mainland, Trinidad and Tobago and Petty Martinique Primary School. Jamaican reggae artist Capleton will be the feature act. The positive impact of transforming lives through the FLY project has given rise to further expansion. The project, which has now been launched in St. Andrew, targets 50 unemployed youth in the constituencies of St. Andrew Northeast and Southeast respectively. Mr. Norman Gilbert, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth Development, Sports, Culture and the Arts, says Project FLY was created to reduce the rate of crime and unemployment among youth in high-risk communities.
Project FLY started as a result of a crime prevention program. And we recognized that there was areas of high risk for crime and violence in the country. And so when we would have looked at those communities that were high risk, we would have run programs in these communities. You may not necessarily be high risk for crime, but you may be high risk for other activities, right? And unemployment is also another high risk activity. And because you've been unemployed, this is an excellent opportunity for you to make the best of this program to become employable.
Minister with responsibility for youth development, Honorable Kate Lewis, says their financial investment to ensure participants acquire the skills that will make them employable will in the end contribute to Grenada's further growth and development.
We continue to see the positive impact this project is having on our young people. And as a government, we decide to continue with this important project. This project will continue to empower and transform the lives of our young people. Once you are successfully able to complete this program, you will be walking out with a CVQ in construction and cookery, restaurant services. This is important because these two skills are highly demanded now in the job market. You have heard about the amount of hotels that will be opening their doors in the not too distant future. They require construction, they require hospitality arts personnel, and that is where you will fit in.
Meanwhile, making reference to the recent opening of the Youth Small Business Support Center at St. Mark, Gilbert said small businesses is one of the avenues towards gaining meaningful employment.
This ministry just only last week would have launched its first business center, first business hub in St. Mark's, that provides opportunity for young persons who are business inclined or who have interest in starting their own small businesses. The ministry provides financial support in $25,000 maximum for any one small business, as well as we also provide the technical support in terms of the business capacity development, business plan writing, and so forth. So whilst you go through this program, we are going to engage you in a small business training that would initiate your desire, your appetite for business. And if there is anyone amongst you who believe that you have what it takes to get into business, we are willing to provide the support. Of course, your MPs are also going to be there to ensure that you succeed and provide the support. I'm sure Minister Lewis would provide as much support as she can, whether financially or otherwise. And I'm sure Minister Pear, who the other area falls in, would do likewise. But we can provide all the opportunities for you. Ultimately, it is up to you to make use of this opportunity.
And with that, we come to the end of the National Report for Friday, April 26, 2019. I'm Sherry-Ann Noel, thanking you for viewing.
Alrighty, so that's going to take care of Friday's edition of the National Report from the GIS, which, by the way, kept you guys pretty busy this morning, I see. There are some comments here, one in particular, actually I'm going to read a few of them to you. One in particular from Margaret. Margaret says she's referring here to the Belt and Road Initiative. For those of you who may not be too familiar with that, that's an initiative of the Chinese government, which, by the way, and it's not just here in Grenada, but it's around the world, and it has raised a few eyebrows around the world. However, here in Grenada, nada. Just not hearing much about it at all, whereas other people are going, you know, what's happening? By the way, Margaret says, that reminds her of the story of the Trojan horse, and also of a poem that her mom taught her named Spider and the Fly. Oh, really? Mags, I'm not familiar with the spider and the fly. I'm not that old. Know what I'm talking about? And then Peter responds by saying, it looks to me more like Tom and Jerry. There's some other comments here. Kipling says, one of the NNP campaign promises was to cut down on traveling, but it seems like traveling has become the only thing this government is good at doing anywhere. Is good at doing. Anywhere in the world, there is a meeting that's offering money for who knows what. We are there. And even if we get, few would know how much and what happens with it. So says Kipling out there in the Big Apple. Anthony says, I often wonder if politicians, for the most part, really want to improve the lives of the people they govern, or are they mostly bent on pursuing power and money? Good question, Anthony. If you ever get the answer, please let us be the first to know. I think we all know the answer. Peter Bishop says, Grenada has so many empowered people walking around. Let's see here. Anthony says, I often say if charity begins at home, why is China not looking after the millions of peasants in China? So says Anthony. Hello, Chess. See that Chester is also joining us in Zurich this morning. So we got Zurich, Canada, the United States, the Azores. Everybody's with us this morning. Okay, Pilgrims, I'll tell you what. Let me see here. We've taken care of the National Report. We've taken care of oil and gas. And next, we're going to take a look at the environment. So hang in there for just a sec.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you wait
Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Are you equipped to take a closer look behind the numbers? The Caribbean Institute of Forensic Accounting can help you build your professional skills to audit and investigate fraud, waste, and abuse. Through the Forensic Certified Public Accountants FCPA program, you gain qualification to conduct forensic audits and investigations globally, earn international recognition and designation as a Forensic Certified Public Accountant from the Forensic CPA Society of the USA. Certificate courses run May to November 2019 in Grenada at the Grenada National Stadium. To register, contact us at info@cfa-edu.com or 868-224-3478.
You know, one of the reasons why I so enjoy sitting in this chair is because of the things I learn. Yeah, you folks talk about the program being educational. It's especially so for me. A little while ago, I mentioned that I didn't know about the story about the spider and the fly. Well, am I ever glad that I said that? Because I got a couple of answers here. First of all, Ryan says, "Would you walk into my parlor?" said the spider to the fly. The spider ensnares the fly through seduction. Was the spider wearing lingerie, Ryan? I don't know, but I just couldn't help asking. Then, Margaret, Margaret responds, the summary of the poem is one of entrapment and ultimate death through the use of flattery. We're talking about the Road and Belt Initiative here, right? She says, the spider wants the fly for food. The fly knows this, but succumbs to the flattery anyway in the end. I told you, you learn new things here every day. And Ryan responds by saying, yes, dear Margaret, caution. Seduction and flattery can annihilate you. You know, Ryan? Let's not go there. Margaret says, you got that right, Ryan, and that is exactly what Silken Road is all about. Learn from those that have already been ensnared and have lost their airports and ports and other national assets to the Chinese. You know, Margaret, that's why I said a little while ago that this whole initiative has raised some eyebrows. But here in Grenada, hardly anybody saying anything. And then just wait. When our assets start to disappear, all hell breaks loose. Everybody's on social media. Yeah. Ça c'est li, such is life. Patois. Anything else there? Anything else? No. Now, I'll tell you what. It's, where's my clock? Yeah, it's coming up on 15 minutes. Oh, by the way, Pele Darbo. Pele, let me ask you this, young man. Why does Pele always show up, within the last 10, 15 minutes of the program? Huh? Can't wake up a little bit early just to be with us, Pele? Good to see you anyway. Yes. I want to read a piece that I shared with the audience yesterday. And by the way, yesterday we had thousands of people checking out that program. Not surprising. A couple of weeks ago, I did a piece on the environment with a particular emphasis down on Mount Hartman, south of the island. Remember that site, beautiful land down there, was supposed to be the site of a Ritz-Carlton hotel. Well, that place has just gone to pot. It's just gone to pot. And it is disgusting to see the garbage that is being dumped down there. And there are a couple of people who are very acutely aware of the wanton dumping that takes place in this country. There are two tour operators, a gentleman by the name of Ian Blakely. He works with Sensation Tours, and Mandu Sales. He works with Mandu Tours. They are both members of an organization called the Grenada Green Group. The reason why this is of particular concern to these gentlemen is because as tour operators, they constantly take hundreds and hundreds of people around this island every day, supposedly showing them the beauty of Grenada. But my friends, when you continually run into the garbage that is strewn all over this place, in pure Grenada, no less, it's disheartening, let alone embarrassing. So a couple of weekends ago, they took me down to Mount Hartman. I asked them to, and they took me down to Mount Hartman, and I saw for myself what they were talking about. But that's only one location. One location. This thing is happening all over the country, all over. And they have promised me that sometime in May, they're going to take me and my little smartphone around the country with them, so I get to see some of what else is happening outside of the St. George area. The piece we put together, I called Pure What? Spend the next 12 minutes or so watching this.
Yes, Mount Hartman was supposed to be a place for development of a real economic asset, which was a wellness centre, as far as I understand. And they'd started cutting out land for it. And we've just been up there and we've seen building rubble that's obviously been brought in. It's not local to the site. But don't forget that this is also a regionally renowned, if not internationally renowned, bird sanctuary. You see birds here that you don't see in many other places. And it is one of the very few places where the Grenada dove still exists. Lose that, we've lost part of our identity, and we've lost a lot of our attraction, and we have lost the respect of a lot of potential tourists with their money who expect people to look after their backyard. What we see, I think, is plastic bottles everywhere, the remains of styrofoam food cartons everywhere, cutlery, forks, knives, spoons, single-use plastics that needn't be single-use but are single-use everywhere, with the expectation that somebody else will pick it up. And it is just about everywhere. We joined a Grenada fund for conservation pickup at Telescope Beach a while ago, and I was told by a local that she had tried to organise a pickup herself, but was told by the people there that they wouldn't pick up unless they were paid, which means that people actually expect to be paid for picking up what they've dropped themselves. In here at Mount Hartman, every 50, 100 yards you've got another dump. They had cleared it up before the building of the new medical facility was scheduled, but it's all back now, and trucks that should be bringing building materials and so on to Perseverance just dump it in there. You've got all sorts, from old wash basins, old toilets, building rubble, everything you can think of.
We have to wonder if this is part of the Pure Grenada brand. As you can tell, as my colleague said, garbage is everywhere in this country. We have been to Little Act 2015, almost celebrating his 4-year birthday now, and still nobody has been charged or been prosecuted. What is really going on? Come on, people, we have to do better than this. Yeah, that's a good question. What next? Obviously, beautiful to the whole of Grenada, a Ritz-Carlton, a premier hotel like this, coming to a site like this. But on the other hand, look at it. We've been here for the last hour or so, and it's just piled upon piles of garbage. It's so ridiculous. You just lost for words now what you have seen here, and not only here, other parts of the island.
You know, and there's all this rhetoric about pure Grenada, pure Grenada. People around the world looking at this right now, what do you think they're thinking?
Well, it's a good brand. It all depends on what type of brand. Is it garbage brand, or if it's the normal pure brand that we all speaking about? The amazing thing is you bring these dignitaries, Prince Charles was here recently, and you bring them to the nice posh area. But this is the real Grenada we're looking at, and look what we are doing to it. It's unbelievable.
I think the most positive spin you can put on it is to say that it's a work in progress. It's something we're aspiring to, because it's emphatically not what we have at the moment. And since our group has been in existence, there hasn't been any real improvement. Ditches are still filled, stuff is still tipped over into the ocean. You know that there are 8 million tons of plastic worldwide that go into the ocean every year. What does Little Grenada contribute? 11 tons of drinking straws alone. That's plastic. And standing on the bridge in Guave once, one piece of plastic every minute during a normal flow going down into the ocean. Multiply that by the number of rivers in Grenada. Plastic is about as old as I am, but we don't know that it ever breaks down completely. The petrochemicals and toxic bits and pieces that are used to give it colour, rigidity, shape, never break down, as far as we know, into anything that nature can absorb. So, since I understand SGU has taken fish to pieces and found plastic in the tissue of every fish they've sampled, it's ending up in us already. Also going into the soil, so it will end up in us through plants. Is it toxic? The jury's still out, but it certainly ain't good for us.
The question has been asked, how do we handle the problem? Very often you hear talk about the need for education, 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 and to a lesser extent, enforcement. I want you guys to sort of prioritize that for me. Let me have your thoughts on both of those.
I'm going to start with one of my favourite people, who is Neil deGrasse Tyson. You've heard of him, George? He's an American astrophysicist, popularizer of science. Recommend him to anybody who's got any interest in science at all, and even who hasn't, because he still makes it attractive. And he says, if I may be profane for a moment, everybody says, educate the kids, because the kids are our future. Bullshit, he said. Educate the adults, they're the ones who have screwed up the kids. And if the adults won't be educated by persuasion, I'm afraid we have to hit them in the pocket.
We in the Great Green Group has done so much. In the last 5 years or so, we had met with PS, government ministers, the police. Nothing happened. It's just a run around, and we are people give up our time doing this voluntary. It's a voluntary thing like any one of us. And it's so frustrating to see what we are seeing today in this beautiful land of Grenada. What is happening, we don't know. The laws are there, enforcement. Let people feel it in their pocket. It's about time.
I think one of the things the Green Group is pretty known for is the fact that you guys took it upon yourselves to do a number of cleanups around this island. But I understand that you guys have ceased that. Why?
Because we see no point at all. It sustains the rhythm of drop it, pick it up, drop it, pick it up. We had the ridiculous situation where a group in St. Patrick's, faced with the imminent chikungunya threat at the time, asked somebody from Specto how to pick up litter. Excuse me, you need telling how to pick up litter? You pick it up with one hand and you drop it into a bag that you're holding with the other hand, but they expected Specto to tell them how to do it. Now, we went to Sea Moon in January 2014 or 15, and we cleaned up one Saturday morning. On the Monday afternoon following, Mandu and I, separately with our groups of tourists, drove through the road through Sea Moon, and it was as if we had never been there. I will join in other people's pickups for networking purposes. I've met people from the University of Manitoba who have given us advice on how to develop the consciousness that litter is a bad thing, but I see no merit in picking up if it's only going to get dropped again immediately. All we're doing is being other people's unpaid servants, or if I can use a value-loaded term, slaves. It seems to me that the logical extension of doing what people are happy with doing, have become accustomed to doing, is to drop all your garbage outside, in the street, in the drains, on the sidewalks, in nature, because somebody is bound to come and pick it up eventually. For want of volunteers, and I understand NADMA has had trouble finding volunteers because the public is becoming sick of picking up, and so they should be. And why should we get our kids to get their hands dirty picking up other people's filth? For want of volunteers, we would have to put the taxes sky high to pay people to pick up. Picking up is not the answer, not dropping is the answer. It's that easy. Yes, let me just say that we can't do it on our own. We're a little committee of people who sit in a room with lots of fans on Facebook and what have you saying, yes, we agree with you, yes, you're right, yes, you must do this, yes, it's appalling. We need support. We can't do it on our own. And why should we? We need other people to give presentations. We need other people to, I'm sorry to say this, but I have to, put pressure on the government to implement their own law so that it works. Put pressure on the police so that when we give them witness details of vehicle numbers, times and places where dumping has been seen, they act. At the moment, it feels as if it's just us alone. Come on, public, get indignant. Join us. Don't have to be physically with us, but join our mission to clean this place up. Not by picking up, but by not dropping in the first place. Police, government, please play your role. Government, you could get a lot of credit for leaving this island cleaner than it has been. What's stopping you? In here is just an extension of perseverance.
Alrighty, folks, there it is. There it is. Kind of sad what's happening. Kind of sad, but Anthony the Rig says, this pure thing is not even original. In 2008, Michigan launched a Pure Michigan to advertise the state. Give me spice any day, so says Anthony. Sean says, really sad to see. but it's not too late to change it. He goes on to say, start your own no plastic group. Get the church on board. Get the church on board. The Boy Scouts too. He says it's God's earth right. Yes, Sean. Yes, Sean. Jorge Murillo Yepes says, has anyone counted the amount of garbage bins available? Very few. Really, too few. By the way, Sean also has posted a link here. I haven't seen it yet, but there's a link here. You may want to check it out. It's www.wastetireoil, wastetireoil.com. Check it out. And if you go to Facebook, you can cut and paste that link into your browser. Chester says, big fines, $1,000 minimum. Yeah, Chester, before we could fine the people, we need to start enforcing the act. That's where we have to begin. Pilgrims, let me see here. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it on Facebook. And Jorge Murillo, by the way, you make a very valid point. You know, if you walk around the Carnage and you've got, if I'm chewing gum and I want to dispose of the gum, I will not just go on the ground, okay? You look for a garbage bin. Very hard to find. Very hard to find. Folks, just about time for Georgie Porgy to pull the curtain down. Hello there, Debbie. Good to see you. Debbie Parker. Just before I go, parting word from the Holy Scriptures. My dear friends, Matthew chapter 10, verses 26, 27, and 28. So, do not be afraid of them, for there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Matthew 10, read it yourself, 26 to 28. Yeah. Boy, oh boy, does that fit into the program nicely this morning. Keeping secrets, it's all going to come to light. Yeah. Old people, I remember as a little boy growing up in La Bay, old people had a saying, I called it a proverb. One ain't meet you, ain't pass you. Keep your eyes open. Pilgrims, on that note, Georgie Porgy's going to hightail it out of here. We've gone, 5 minutes overtime? Don't tell. Thanks for joining me, and let's get together again tomorrow morning for the next edition of Gudday Grenada. Until such time, God bless you.